Okay, we are running live. Yes. All right. I'm on here finally. And welcome to Clear Blue Radiance with myself, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I enjoy being here every Thursday when I can at 1 p.m. It's about 1:02 p.m. Mountain Standard Time out here in the state of New Mexico in Mountain Time Zone. It is 3 p.m. on the East Coast. New England states and further south into Florida. It is what else I can tell you? 2 p.m. Central Time or 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hey everybody, Golden Timeline 711. I like that number. Jackie's on here. Y'all beat me to it. I just sent out an email. Y'all are quick, keeping me on my P's and Q's. Uh, I'll send you all a text later to let you know where I'm at with that special project. Uh, but, many of you who are on here, you already know that I've been a podcaster for some time. I am a spiritual counselor for over 45 years and still going strong. I am a teacher, metaphysical teacher, and I like to do a lot of different things. I am also an author. So, um, I enjoy helping people such as yourself gain greater clarity in your life and also help you discover your purpose or rediscover your purpose or refashion your purpose. And refashioning your purpose means just changing a few things around with yourself, basically, your approach. It is also helping people rebuild their confidence in themselves to let them know that they can do anything they want to do. You just do it at your own pace. You don't have to be perfect with anything. You just have to be in the present moment. But you do have to work on the little nooks and crannies of yourself, sometimes called the shadow self or the lower self, or the side of you that wants to be very self centered and egotistical. It's all one and the same. So, this podcast coming on here every week allows me to share some of my life experiences in a nutshell with you, nano moments of grace and compassion, forgiveness and understanding, and learning that it's cool for you all to see me down to earth. We are always going through that roller coaster ride in life. We have our up times, we have our low times, but we have an opportunity to push ourselves through or feel that we can be pulled through. And the one being you want to pull you through is not just your loved ones, close friends, business associates, good hearted neighbors, but is also the divine presence in you, known as your higher self, which is your own I am presence, your reflection of divinity within you. So today's topic is, if you have not realized it yet, you are giving birth to a new you. That is the new topic for this week. If you have not realized it yet, recognized what's going on, you are giving birth to a new you. Now, what could all of that mean? Well, one of the things is everything we are experiencing in our lives begins from within as an idea waiting to be manifested in our lives. So we have tons, thousands, millions of bits of data called ideas. And these ideas are constantly being played back to us. As we send the thought out into the ethers, they roll back to us. As we put a prayer out there, it comes back to us. As we put our emotions out there, it comes back to us. So we are consciously doing it, and sometimes we are unconsciously aware. Sometimes, if we are not careful and allow our minds to wander too much, and that does happen, sometimes you lose your focus, right? And you begin to wander. And then you fall into a state of procrastination and then stagnation. And if that should happen, you begin to live by default, just like a computer. When something goes amiss, something's lost, something gets jammed, or as they say, the computer freezes. And I'm new school still. I don't know how to go back into the background part and type in the commands to make the corrections. But they always make things a little easier for us, right? So that's the designers of laptops, computers, handheld computers, and things. What they do is already have the command set and they make it look like the image of a button. And it usually says you need to restore your data. So what that means is you go back in history before you had the problem, and it shows you where the problem came from, how it got started, what's there. Maybe you got a virus in there. So you have to go back to an earlier period when everything was running well. Usually, when you go back to that early period, if you haven't saved up information like you should, backed up your files, everything that you were working on when the thing crashed is gone. Is basically gone, but you can find it. You just have to go through a lot of different steps to bring it up to the surface again. So when you have to default, do something on default, there's another part of that set up in the computer. You can select default operations, which is also referred to uh, going back to reset it. So there's a basic program already sitting in the computers, like our mind, our brain has a basic computer sitting in there. Our motherboard is the heart, not really the brain. The motherboard is the heart. That's the one that's imprinting and printing and sending out these signals for the brain to pick up on, and in there for the folds to expand, and for every part, those four parts of that brain needs to be shifted, needs to be massaged. Certain points need to be connecting. Okay, so you have to reset. And then they said when you press reset, what happens? You see the little hourglass or the little dot spinning around. Why? Because now you got the computer going back into its original status when you first purchased it. When it does that, then it tells you it's going to shut down. You missed the opportunity to save programs and all of that. So it's going to shut down and it's going to restart, which means it's going to reboot itself because you've given the command to reset. We are doing the same somehow deep within our own mind. Let me say hello here to Jackie Fillmore, Antoine. Happy you were on here. Golden Timeline 711. Thanks for joining me. You two are here, and I know Barbara will pop in later if she's available, and Samira Woods, she'll pop in later, and maybe Melanie might make it all the way from Australia. I think it's daytime here, and it's probably nighttime over there. So, getting back to this particular message today, um, there's a lot that's going on right now. Already, the world has been reset and rebooted. It happened somewhere on Martin Luther King's birthday, where we went from the finishing up of the age of Pisces, according to a lot of astrologers, and now we're in the very beginning degrees of Aquarius, the era of time, period of time known as Aquarius. And then, if I'm not mistaken, in astrology, each era of time is roughly 2,100 years. So to be able to live or be born in the age of Pisces and now living in the age of Aquarius, that's a big step. That's a huge metaphysical step, and it's a very huge, yes, that's right. Golden Timeline 711 says the heart is the spirit, the brain is the ego, and the ego answers to the heart. It has to, because the heart is sending the brain blood too. And if the heart stops sending the brain blood, the brain is going to shut down, right? Because it doesn't have any fresh blood and no fresh nutrients. There's no fresh oxygen in the blood. So, hey, 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 I like that comment. Like everybody's comment. So, one of the things we have to keep in mind is this is a process that is ongoing. We are truly grand co-creators. We're not just creating this scenario by ourselves. This is why I think on some level, that if we could see everything paired up with the physical eye, with the third eye and the crown chakra and the heart and all the chakras wide open, if we could see what's actually revolving around us, it would look like a mismatch of things. It would almost remind me of what's that insect? The fly. The fly has faceted eyes, right? That means it can see everything. It's not like us looking straight ahead, or a horse with the eyes on the side so it can catch what's straight ahead and what's out a little bit. It's not like a bird where your eyes are on both sides of the head, literally, but they're toward the front a little bit. You can still see somewhat paramically. But we don't have those set of eyes like the fly has, right? Because it can see you and it can see everything that's going on around you and everything that's going on around itself so much that when you move toward it, you're sending a wind current that bumps up against the hairs on its body. And that's how it knows when to move. It's not moving based on sight or scent. It's moving based on the wind current that you set up in the air when you're trying to swat it. All that energy is moving toward it, and the thought pops up first. It's made aware that something is about to happen in its direction. So it's the same thing. We are truly grounded, grand co-creators, but we already understand the process involves patience and intention, which means clear intention, but also discretion. So discretion, we know what's right or what's wrong for ourselves. Everybody has their own level of discretion. Everybody has their own level of understanding what an intention is. And therefore, not everybody unfolds at the same time. The more consciously aware we become, the more we remember and realize that we are beyond defaults. Because another side of a default is an error. We're beyond an error. When they said, we're made in the image and likeness of God, of the universe, we are actually a cell within a huger body, community of cells. And what are those cells like? They are the constellations, and we're inside of those things. But there's a part of us that stands on the outside, and that's our higher self. That's the one that has greater information. So the more consciously aware we become, the more we remember and realize that we are beyond these defaults and repetitive thinking and actions per se. We are literally becoming. Let's say that again. We are literally becoming more open to a grander scheme in life. That means we are willing to accept that there's other things going on. I always would say to my friends back east when I lived on Long Island and in New Jersey, I said, you got to learn how to stay in your lane, how to be committed to the lane so you can feel things bleeding into it. You can keep certain things out of your lane. It's the same thing when you all are driving, right? You pick a lane, but what's the better thing if you're on a 3 laner or a 4 lane road or even a 2 lane road and you all are going in the same direction? If you're trying to get off that road, if you know where your when your exit point comes up, you start getting over really early. If you're in 3 lanes, you got to come all the way from that left hand lane all the way across. But what you're trying to do is get into the middle lane. If you can stay in the middle lane, you can see everything. That's what really staying in your lane is like. If you get to the far right hand side, that's even better. But you just have to watch the people coming up off the side road, right? That's where your worry is. You got to watch them coming up. And if they know how to do it, they're supposed to accelerate. They're not supposed to creep in and get over. They're supposed to accelerate. When they see that person pass by, they've got so many feet to accelerate and then get into the lane. And what people are supposed to do in the right hand lane, when you see them come up, if you can, get over. That means you're letting them come on. You're letting them come on. Now they're on there. If there's no one else behind them, you get right back into the right hand lane. It's the same thing with the way that we're thinking and feeling about the life that we are choosing to build. We are still in a very early stage. I think on Lloyd's show, someone said the first 6 hours, when you realize you're in the age of Aquarius, what you do in that 6 hours sets the tone of how the life will unfold in the new era. Well, I started to go into a deep meditation about that because I was hearing from other people. So, well, I didn't know that this changed, this era, time is shifting. I said, well, we've been feeling something. We've been feeling uneasiness with ourselves. We've been feeling headaches, toothaches, heart palpitations, stomach cramps, leg cramps, even though you're drinking enough water, but it feels like you haven't had a drop of water in ages. Your body's cramping. You realize, okay, I got to eat differently. Maybe I've been eating like a bird. Now I can eat larger spread. Yeah, you can. You just got to balance it out on some level. Some people say, well, walking is good. Yes, walking is good, but there's something else that's going on. It's like the mind is walking. The mind is going through things. So it's like you got to spring clean your old thoughts. Old paradigms are not going to work in the new time. So things are constantly shifting. So what you have to pay attention to is your emotions. Your emotions are the magnetic side of you. Yeah. So, but we're children of the sun. So we're feeling that magnetism, that frequency popping out in our direction. We have to become settled in ourselves, grounded in ourselves, stay within the heart as much as we can. The heart is representative of the sun. So the sun is sending out flares. Our heart is responding. Our heart is right behind it, sending out radiation, sending out a frequency that can be felt, that can be tasted, that can be touched, that you can hear, that you can smell. All your 5 physical senses are opened up into these things. So you got to have clear intention and what discretion. Now, the more consciously we are aware that we're becoming something that we were not before, the more we shall remember and realize that we are beyond these old things. We literally are becoming more open to a grander scheme, a larger stage for our dreams to unfold upon. That's important. We're all a dreaming. It's like we haven't awakened yet. We're still asleep, but we're in a cocoon. We haven't awakened yet fully because we're inside of a cocoon. But in that cocoon are all the nutrients that we need, just like when our mother carried us within her body. We didn't need to see light. We didn't need to see darkness. We what felt the energy. We could hear the voices beyond the sac, beyond her body. And we could tell just by the way others were talking to the mother, how the mother was thinking and feeling. You could, the baby could come out and identify who was who. That was unique. The baby could come out and identify who's who. They just look right in the eyes. It's not right. I don't want to see you. You get with mom. I want to be with mom. There were things I didn't think that were possible that I remember all my aunts doing, and some of my uncles that got it, that were married. They would read to the mother and in turn be reading to the baby. So they were reading childhood nursery rhymes to the baby. They would be talking about things that would make a positive impact in their life. I remember one time I was invited to a baby naming ceremony out on Long Island. This was way back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. And I was invited because the person knew that I had some ability. Now, I had never experienced a baby naming ceremony, but here's what I found out. When I think I was next to the last person to speak over the baby's life in the mother's belly, I think about 5 years after that, in the 90s, I ran into the mother and the husband. And it was so interesting because the father, I ran into him first. I couldn't remember who he was because now he had a full beard and all. And he said, "Yeah, you spoke at our baby naming ceremony." And then he had to refresh my memory. Later, he invited me over, or we went out, I think, with he and his wife. And they told me how their little girl that was born, at some point, by the time that she could form words and she could speak clearly and understand them, somehow she came almost very close to saying my name. She, in fact, said she had a dream that all these people were speaking to her one at a time, and that there was this man who looked like such and such. Well, she described me at that time. Later, I got a chance to meet the little girl. I don't even remember her name now, but she was 10 back then. But here's the cool thing. She, out of all the adults at this big party, I guess it was her 10th birthday or something, she picked up on the tone of my voice. At first, she started looking. She was playing with her friends outside, coming inside, looking at me. And I'm saying, this is unique. I wonder why she's looking at me. Why? Because she heard the tone of my voice. She heard the laughter that I do, that I have within me. And because of the laughter and the tone of my voice, she saw me at this birthday party for her. And she tracked my voice to the point that she got closer and closer and closer. And next thing I know, she almost sat in my lap. And I was saying, like, hey, your mom and dad is over there. She sat right up next to me and put her head on my shoulder. And I was like, wow. And they said, she remembers you. Her grandmother says she remembers you. I was in the house a few times. She'd mentioned almost call your name out, almost describe you. So I say that is because everything appears to us like a dream. And whatever we are doing or daring to dream about, I should say, in my notes, whatever we are daring to dream about and seeking to accomplish, when we make up our minds to step forward and trust the process as we watch it unfold. So we have to dare to have a dream, like Dr. Martin Luther King said in his speech, right? Dream. If the people have a dream, they won't perish. You know, you got to believe in something, but you got to have faith in something. You got to have faith that you'll make it. And faith won't work if you have no works. In other words, you don't have nothing previous to show. So it's hard to have faith in something if you didn't see it or do it or experience it before. But you can, because you consciously have it embedded inside of you. You just have to find a way to bring it out. So use your memory to find and secure the previous work that was successful. Then you will have more success because you have done what? You have instilled the seeds of faith within and can allow what? Your higher self, not the soul, the higher self. See, some people say the soul is the higher self. But what happens, the soul gets caught in astral stuff. The higher self doesn't. The soul gets caught up in 3D world. The higher self doesn't. The ego can step on the bridge. The shadow self can step on the bridge, but it can't get through. It's like the elder occultists would say. They can't go past the ring. So the ring pass not. They can't get past it to get into the other world. Why? Because it's trapped, so to speak, in the 3D world. That's all it understands. But if you are the seed that's firmly planted with faith, you realize within you the whole time has been your higher self. And your higher self is the one that leads you into the fields of higher consciousness. That's exactly what your higher self is doing. So even when we are asleep at night, we are not always aware that the higher self is doing the work. Why? Because the higher self can't be tainted. It's not going to walk in the muck and mire that we walk through. It's going to wait for us to get right to the lip where it's fresh and pull us into that. Many times we're like a choreographer, refashioning our steps, right? When a choreographer, a dancer, is practicing, they need someone to sit in different places in a vacant theater, especially if there's a higher level. They need somebody to sit up there so they can see the bigger picture. Then they could tell the dancer and the choreographer where each body needs to be on the stage, what angle, what direction, how close to the center, how far away, how far they need to be up toward the front or going into the back. However, many times nothing runs smooth. We think it's going to run smooth, That's what we're hoping for right now. 10 days have passed. That's a certain number of degrees that have passed. And we're hoping that things run smooth. We have faith that it's going to run smooth, but not necessarily. Sometimes everything that doesn't run smoothly is sometimes the better thing, the better experience, because it's unfolding, is bringing to the surface new aspects of ourselves. We're not meant to see ahead of time. That's what I was talking about earlier. We got all of these lanes of experiences flowing in and around and through us. Other lifetimes all happening at the same time. We just can't see it, but sometimes we can feel it. Sometimes you could feel someone looking at you, and that's you looking at yourself, the one who is more advanced, that has arisen, right? Raised up and can now see overhead and can see how these different things will connect at some point. People say, "Hey, I know I'm in the fifth dimension. Things are running smooth." Sometimes in the fifth dimension, things aren't running smooth. Sometimes in the sixth dimension, things aren't running smooth. Sometimes because they're running on what? A different level, a different plan. We're This is why many other metaphysical people are telling you about fourth density. We're the fourth dimension, the fourth realm, the heart chakra energy, compassion, understanding, grace, beauty, harmony, peace. All of that synchronicity is happening in the heart chakra, right? It's happening there. And it will continue to happen there. Why? Because you need to connect with it or reconnect with it. Once you embrace it being right here, then what's right here becomes very magnetic again and it begins to attract. But now you could attune yourself directly what you want to attract into your life, not just anything or anyone. If you say all I want is peace, pay attention to how it's said, pay attention to the emotional input that's in there, because if you pay attention to that, then and you realize there's no doubt going on in your mind when you said it, then what you just said will materialize. And it will come faster and faster and faster to you. All you got to do is take a step back, be observant, and what? Be prepared, be ready. If you're not ready, you may not be able to capitalize on things. So, what is the answer to all of this as a process? The answer to solving this is find a way, right? To find a way to go deeper inside of yourself, to listen to your higher self. Why? Because it is constantly overflowing with answers and alternative approaches. So, the more in touch you are with your higher self, the more grace abounds in your life. Abounds means moving through you freely, moving into your life freely. The spirit of grace is not outside of you. The Holy Spirit is not way over there on some cloud. You're the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit is another way of saying what? I am presence reflected in you. The God man, the God woman, the God child in you. The higher self. That's what this new book is about. How to connect, how to activate, and how to communicate. Once you keep working those three, and they can happen in very minuscule moments, but you have to be totally aware of your surroundings, totally aware of energy nudging you forward or pressing upon you. You have to really gauge yourself and pay attention. So, the more in touch you are with your higher self, the more grace abounds in your life, and you begin to transcend the current world because the paradigms are shifting. Everything around you is in motion. Yes, healing your inner child, the sacred child. That's the key. That's the one that got wounded. You didn't get wounded as the adult, you got wounded as the sacred inner child. Somehow, mommy said something, daddy said something, auntie said something, grandma said something, uncle said something, siblings said something, neighbor said something, peers in school said something, teachers said something, counselors said something. Got into high school, got bigger, played some sports. Coaches didn't understand you. They said something that was affecting you, branding you. Then you get to that other part. You go off to high school and college, get branded some more. But at some point, you have to free yourself. You almost have to walk away from it to see it. When you can walk away from it and then see it, then all will make sense to you. That's the phrase people are saying now. Make it make sense. You have to make yourself make sense. That which is around you is never going to make sense because you're changing. It changes as you change. The little clicking sound that you hear inside, that's the higher self turning the dial up, turning the dial down, putting a new program in, taking an old program out. It's ready to function as you on this earth. It has been always with you. It's been waiting to step out and get what you need, get your desires put in place. Your higher self is going to lead you or push you. It will pick you up too, but it's far bigger than you are. It's far bigger. So that's my message for today. If you want more information about my updates, my current Creative Pathwork meditation series that I teach at Resonant Essentials, it's kind of hard for me to broadcast those from there live because it takes away from my focus and concentration with the group. And some things I have there, I don't want to share outside unless someone was physically in the group. But many of you already know I have the first Sunday coming up. When I'm at that first Sunday, I'm doing things. Then you can get into that Creative Pathwork meditation series. I have the third or the fourth Sunday at 5 p.m., which is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The fourth Sunday is usually reserved for the Planetary Healing Circle group. The first Sunday is 3 p.m. Eastern for the Creative Pathwork Meditation Series. If you live out here, it's 1 p.m. Mountain Time. If you want to get updates and you want to find out about practitioners who work remotely from Resident Essentials, maybe you want to get a reading from them and get some insight from them, all you got to do is go to www.resonantessentials.com. RESONANT, first word, ESSENTIALS.com. ResonantEssentials.com. And on the left side of the screen, you will see uh, practitioners. You click on there and you can see all the practitioners. You stay in the middle, you can see the events, the current calendar. If you click up into the upper right side, you'll see preferred businesses. I'm one of them, and there's two other people that are there. We all work, we all associated, and we're all striving for Michelle to have great success with Resident Essentials. Okay, so that's all I have to say today. I don't even know if I'm gonna. Well, yeah, I'm going to have the fourth uh, Sunday, but I'm going to be checking in on my Baltimore Ravens. I might have to turn that volume super low. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. share this out if you like. If you can't, I'll grab the link and I can email it to you so you can send it out. Okay. Thank you for your time. I still have some more certificates of completions to mail out connected to the Selenite course and the 5 point creative pathwork meditation system that I've been teaching. Okay. Thank you very, very much for your time. And it's time for me to take a break. Take care now. I love you. Unconditional love, grace, peace. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. I look forward to seeing you again next week. If I'm not going to be here, I'll send out an email so that you will be aware of that. Take care now.